Hello everyone, this is Orlando from A Collector's Dream. And today, let me move the camera over. And today is a very special day. Today I picked up a card from a set that I do not have. Now, unlike John Mangini, I'm not trying to collect a card from every single set. But there are certain sets that I definitely, looking for cards from. And I picked up one of those. And before I show you the card in the book, I want to show you another book from the same authors, because I picked up, let me show you here. What I'm going to show you is I picked up a Cracker Jack card. I'm going to show you this book in a minute and the card that I picked up. But before that, the same people that did this book here also did this book. And these are all great books if you ever run across it. This is Tom Zappala and Ellen Zappala with Joe Orlando. And this was one that was done with Rico Petrocelli and Jim Longboard. But this has a lot of cool stuff, a lot of kind of some Boston stuff, players that they played with. And but it's got some cool stuff here. And I'll share some of this. For example, here's some for my buddies, my Warren Spahn collectors. And it talks about Warren Spahn and the Warren Spahn cards. And just goes on and shows some of the cards and the cards to watch. And they're saying that these are some of the tougher ones here, this one here. So it's a cool book, but not the book I want to show you today. The book I want to show you today is the Cracker Jack book that was made by Tom Zappala and Ellen Zappala. This is the 100th anniversary edition. And what I want to show you here is just a little bit about the book, and then I'll show you the card that I picked up from my Cracker Jack card. But briefly, what I like about this book is it talks about every single card in the book. Every single card. Talks about the history of the Cracker Jacks. And I'll spend a day go through this whole book. This is where the cards actually came in, little Cracker Jack boxes with the Cracker Jack caramels, and they had molasses on them. So those with the heat at the ballpark, the cards would get the stains. And that's normal, you want that. And this is the Cracker Jacks, some of the ads. So just some cool stuff in this book. And I'm not gonna go over the whole book, but I will share a little bit about some of the details of it. And this, again, more Cracker Jack stuff. So what it does is, in this book, it tells you the stars, what they consider the top cards in the set. And of course, those are gonna be the some of the big names. And then it goes on to show all of the players, like the Honus Wagner, the Ty Cobb, cards that I, missed the boat on. They're very, very expensive. I'd have to do what I did with my mantle, sell half my collection to get one of these Joe Jackson cards one day, or a Ty Cobb card. So those are beyond me at this point, and Mathewson and the Walter Johnson, and of course this Mathewson too. So for me, I was able to pick up a player that I've been collecting, PCing, because he's a Cuban player. So I picked up a beautiful example of the Armando Marsans Cracker Jack. And this one's in a PSA 4. And it's just beautiful. Beautiful card. It's got some of the staining there, and that's normal. And you want to see that. You want to see that in 1915 Cracker Jack, a card that's 110 years old almost. And this is Armando Marsans. He's a Cuban player. I'll tell you a little bit more about him, and talked about him in the past. But he's he's in the St. Louis Federals. It's a big reason why he had to go to the Federals, and we'll talk about that also. And this is the 1915 Cracker Jack. You can see it's just in beautiful condition. I mean, when I saw this card, I wanted it. I've been wanting it for a while. And I saw that at the Heritage auction. They auctioned off like an entire set of Cracker Jack cards. And I couldn't afford any of the big names, but I was able to pick up this one in a PSA 4, which is just in beautiful condition. That red just pops right out, and you know, it has some of the caramel stains. That's normal, but to get a 4 in a card of Cracker Jack, it's really a tough grade. These are pretty thin cards, very, very thin cards. And Marsans, I'm going to tell you a little bit about them, but the difference between the 15 and 14s and the 15s is the 15s are backwards. The back of the cards are upside down. And this tells you a little bit about him. And it says Armando Marsans, outfielder of the St. Louis Federals, was born in Havana, Cuba in 1888. He played for several years with the Almendares team in Havana, the strongest club on the island, and developed so rapidly that in 1908 he was signed by New Britain Club of Connecticut League. After 3 years of development with New Britain, he was purchased by the Cincinnati Club in 1911 and signed with the Federals in 1914. So this tells you about the Cracker Jack, and I'll give you a better close-up of this in a little bit. But you can actually get, it says here, you can actually, 1915, you can get the entire set. Send 100 Cracker Jack coupons or one coupon and 25 cents to the Chicago office for a complete set of the 176 pictures. So that is the Cracker Jack. It's a beautiful red background. It's just a beautiful, really a clean card for a Cracker Jack that was actually in the box. You see some of the stains there on the card, but you know, that's not a bad thing. Actually, it's a very, very good thing. You really want it that way. You don't want it too clean. But this is Armando Marsans. Let's talk a little bit about Armando Marsans. And this book tells you about him. And that's what I like about this, is that gives you a good history of every one of the players. So let's read about Armando Marsans. And we'll look at his card while we're at it here. But he was one of the pioneers that helped open up the doors for the likes of Tony Oliva, Jose Cardinal, and many others. Let me give you a good close-up. You can read along with me here. So it talks about that. It says that as a result, Armando Marsans was really Armando Marsans was the first really good player to come out of Cuba. As a result of several exhibition games, put him over here so you can see him also. As a result of several exhibition games between the Cincinnati Reds and Cuba's finest, Marsans was signed to a minor league contract after his team took 4 out of 5 games from the Reds. This was in Cuba. After a few seasons, he was called up in 1911 and batted a respectable .261 in a reserve role. The next year, Marsans batted a tidy .317 and swiped 35 bases to go along with his capable outfield play. Known for his speed on the base paths, Marsans was one of the National League's bright young stars for a few years. I'll move him down here as I keep reading. So he was one of the young stars for a few years. Known for his speed, it says on the base paths, that he was the son of a wealthy aristocrat. Marsans did not need the money from baseball, playing more for the enjoyment of the game. And this was really a true guy that did it for the sport of the game. His family was rich in Cuba, and he came to this country to learn, to go to college. and in business. His father had a cigar company in Cuba, so he got into the business, and he was able to come to this country, to the United States, go to college, graduate, and learn English. So there he was able to go out and become, major league player. He came with Rafael Almeida. I'm just saying all this, not reading. He came with Rafael Almeida as a translator initially, but he was signed with Almeida as the first two Cuban players that played in, the big name players that played in baseball during that time. So he goes on to say that Marsans was the son of a wealthy aristocrat. Marsans did not need the money from baseball, playing more for the enjoyment and fame. During the off-season, he ran a cigar company that he owned in Cuba. He also owned a successful cigar store in Cincinnati. So this is what happened to him after, because again, this is a guy that had money. He didn't really need baseball or to play baseball, and baseball didn't pay a lot of money back then because it was kind of a monopoly. You couldn't leave your team, So during the off season, he ran a cigar factory that he owned in Cuba. He also owned one in Cincinnati. So after an argument with the Reds manager, Buck Herzog, the egotistical and obstinate Marsans, I'm going to show you here. This is the guy that literally began the free agency. People think it was Lou Brock, and he did help in those days, but the first guy to fight the system and win was Armando Marsans. So, because again, he didn't need the money. He had the money. He could go to court and he could fight the league. So he was playing with Cincinnati, and again, he had a fight with Buck Herzog, and basically he had to kind of leave the league. So he went to the Federal League. So it says Marsans took it upon himself to challenge the reserve clause and jump ship to the Federal League in 1914. The National League filed suit, and Marsans was temporarily prohibited from playing. Just like Lou Brock, he was kind of banned because he was suing, the National League and the American League because he wanted to, better playing condition. He wanted to play for another team and not be, a slave technically to the ball clubs. So that's why he had to go to the Federal League. So the injunction, so the National League filed the suit, and Marsans was temporarily prohibited from playing. The injunction was finally reversed, and he was allowed to play in 1915. After the Federal League folded, Marsans hooked up with the Browns and then the Yankees, but a broken leg ended his major league career. Marsans played in the Cuban Winter League before, during, and after his time in the minors and the majors. He played for a total of 21 seasons, 10 of them on pennant-winning teams, and he was also a noted player-manager in the Cuban League. Marsans continued to manage into the 40s and was one of the first inductees into the Cuban Baseball Hall of Fame in 1939. So here's some of the stats for Marsans. Born in, it says 1887 here in Cuba. He died in 1960 in Havana. He's a right-handed batter. He threw right-handed. He was an outfielder, and his career batting average for .269. And he played about 8 years in the league. Here's the teams that he played with: Cincinnati, St. Louis, because he had to play for the Federal League, and then he ended his career playing with the Yankees. So Armando Marsans. Give you a good look at my first Cracker Jack card, and it's of the first real Cuban star in professional baseball, and that's Armando Marsans. So just happy to get this card in the auction. And one day, hopefully, I'll be able to own one of the big guys in this set. But for now, I'm thrilled to have this beautiful card that's, you know, for this year, very nicely centered. A little bit off, left to right, 60-40. Top bottom centering is spot on. The card is nice and clean, nice sharp borders. The colors are just still bright on a 110-year-old card. And again, very few stains on it. It has some stain, but that's what we want. So there's the back of the card again. I'll give you a chance to kind of read it there. And this is card number 134 in the set. And you can see the bottom here where it tells you that you can actually get the entire set from the 1915. So this is the back. And again, the 1914, they're the same, and these are kind of upside down on the back. So you see how that is. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna be admiring this beautiful card for a while and just enjoying it. My first 1915 Cracker Jack, and it's the Armando Marsans. Thanks very much, guys, for watching. Really appreciate everyone commenting on my videos. It's the most fun part, I think, of doing these, is just hearing your comments and your thoughts and your experiences. So thanks again, guys. This is Orlando from A Collector's Dream. Have an awesome day, and I'll catch you on the next one.